Kirk is not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is to be considered for educational purposes only.
Welcome to Kirk's Law Corner Live with your hosts, Kirk Pendergrass, John Gentry, and Chris Hallett. The only one with us right now is Chris Hallett. How are you, Chris?
Not too bad, Ted. What's going on, my brother?
I'm good. I'm just trying to, I need to put this there. All right. Now we have both.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. There's Kirk.
Everybody's here.
Going to kind of pick up a little bit while Kirk gets all settled in. I'm going to pick up from something that we were talking about the other night when it comes to what it is that I actually do and how I stumbled across it. Now, when I go through and I'm giving the presentation and I'm showing these processes, I'm only going to do the half of it so I can break it down. And there's the 4 circles here, processes 2, 4, 6, and 8. And where I go with this is I actually take one of these processes and I break it down, okay, into, we're going to say this here is the bench, right? The bench from the court. And this is the parent that is targeted, right? And draw a little target around you. So what I do is I explain that this segment is one of these processes, okay? That's part of the whole unit. So you can pick any one of these processes wherever you are. Remember, you're here in the middle somewhere in any one of them at any given point in time. And now, mind you, there's supposed to be exchange of information between you and the bench that goes both ways, okay? And come to find out that that's not exactly what's happening. And, I actually did it by accident. It's actually targeting you from both directions. And how they're getting away with that is when I go through and I cite the process, because this is the one you believe it's happening, okay, right there. And here's the one that's actually happening. Remember this? Okay? And it's designed to always throw you right back to the beginning. And the reason it does that instead of going all the way around this way, because if it goes all the way around this way, then you caught them. So they have to literally take you all the way back to the beginning and never let you get around the circle. So that's the reason it's designed to defeat you. So when I go through and I'm breaking all of this stuff down and explaining the red and how that's the social control that conflicts with the language in the preamble of domestic tranquility, the space between spaces that I'm talking about, I'll just break this down real fast for you. And just to kind of do a little blow up version of this little thing that was right here, when you have, the bench, okay, from the court and the process here, okay. Now you're the parent, you're over here somewhere. In that line, that's actually not a 2-dimensional space. That's actually a 3-dimensional space where all of the activity happens, right? So when you figure, how do you squeeze so much into a tiny little space? It's actually, because it's 2-dimensional, you're only seeing it from the side. When you take that sucker and you tilt it and look straight down at it, that sucker's pretty huge, right? But they obscure it through gag orders, through various other breaches in what we perceive to be the due process, right? They don't let you see the flat version of it because then you see how big it is. So when you're talking about the space between spaces there's all of these Title IV, they got the A, B, C, D, E, and everything else that goes with it, but you don't actually see it because you're not looking at it from that perspective. But because I practice, okay, when, my original practice being in real estate, I see the flat version of that. I was taught how to do that. So when I start to break this down for them and I show them, look, there's the difference between the two-dimensional space and how that stuff fits in between there. And it's not two-dimensional, it's three-dimensional. And it starts to make a whole lot of sense to them because they think, well, my Lord, no wonder everybody's so upset because there's so much of that crap in there that doesn't belong. And that's one of the reasons why we're able to definitively show that in the private sector, that type of activity that we refer to as, it could be anything from corporate espionage to some type of internal theft to some type of paperwork or computer system malfunction, something wrong with the design of the program, or somebody did something by accident, which happens more often than not, by the way. And it's usually not something that was done maliciously. It was just, somebody had done something that they thought was the correct way, or they thought was the correct way, and come to find out it wasn't. So when it comes to fixing those system errors, it's people like me that actually had to go in and find all of that stuff and figure out methodology on how to fix it. Well, come to find out, that's why I said, when I started doing this project thing, I'm starting to recognize some of those designs because I'm like, hey, wait a minute, we did that way back when we had that problem. So, it's funny, because my standing joke is I always used to just take stuff here, take that to legal. I didn't want to go down there. I have gone into this thing kicking and screaming and fighting, and I just did not want to do this. And the more I got sucked into it, I'm like, all right, you dirty. Now that I'm here, now you're done. And, lo and behold, that was not too far from the truth. So anyway, Kirk, go ahead and take it away now that you're back. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on what that is and how it works. Looks like you might be sharing over there, so. Trying to.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, hey, turn the mic on. How about that?
Whoa, there we go.
I can
do this without.
Yeah, I'm trying to share this. I've been having some weird stuff with my phone, trying to get to my messages on Kirk's Law Corner when people send private messages. My phone keeps saying that I need to log in, but I'm already on Facebook. And sometimes I'm cruising just Kirk's Law Corner page. I tried that, and then I'll go hit on messages. Wants me to log in, and I should already be logged in. So I don't know. Maybe I need to update Facebook. It does say I have 2 updates, but I kind of set my phone so I tell it when to update. I don't let it automatically update. So, but welcome to the show tonight, folks. We're going to talk about I don't know where John's at and what's going on there with John. He's probably working late again, or an emergency. I haven't heard either way from him. So, but his idea for tonight was to talk about the emotional side of things of this, and actually kind of had it set up for 2 different people to come on, Mike Passio and Chad Kolb. I don't know how to say his last name. But something came up and they're kind of busy. So, there's Nathan. Nathan would be a good one to come on and talk about the emotional side of things of what his turmoil is. But I'll kind of start with a little bit about mine, is, and I'll take you back to 1985, the land before time, for some of that weren't quite born yet in 1985. If you're watching, I was the child that was kidnapped by CPS, and I have to say that the first foster home that I went into was great. I went from failing grades in school to the B honor roll, just like that. But they decided to go to an all-girls foster home, and then I started getting bounced around and into the crappy foster homes, and yeah, it was bad. So here I am wanting to go back home to my mom, and here's CPS social worker telling me that her name's Eva Jackson. At 14 years old, I still, here I am, 46, almost 47 years old, and I still know that woman's name. And she flat out told me, oh, well, if your mom wanted you back, you'd already be back home by now. So, for some of you out there that's gone through this and your kids are in there, I can tell you right now, this has been going on for a long time. And I'm pretty sure it's gotten worse. I don't know if you can get much worse other than what potentially has gotten worse is the selling kids off into adoption, or, where the things have gotten worse with kids for cash and getting trafficked, sold into sexual slavery, and kids are being molested and beaten and even dying within foster care, or just flat come up missing, which is where that gets into that child pedophilia ring. They're supplying the children into there.
Well, it's funny. It's like everything else. It's a scale, right? It just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. They build this stuff gradually. They don't go in a straight line. Right. They've got to do it on a tier, like our cases, they do an onion and then pile another layer on there and another layer on there. Before you know it, they're piling layer upon layer upon layer on there. And they keep, try to keep everybody convinced that statutes, codes, rules, and regulations are law. No. Go back into history and recognize the first time we had this problem after the civil rights movement into the 1960s. Statutes, codes, rules, and regulations were implemented to govern the government. And the fact that they're reverse practicing this bull crap and they're thinking, oh, it's got some kind of jurisdiction over the people. Wait, what?
Right.
And, the more we started to realize this and the more homework and the more research we did into it, it's like, well, the answers don't lie before us. They lie in the rear view mirror. Remember my favorite joke about, hey, that entitlements. Well, that's emoluments written backwards. Right. So, and that's, it's just funny that, that's exactly how it worked out. But, it is what it is. The ones responsible for it, they know who they are. We know who they are. They're busted. They're caught. So that's why you're starting to see a bunch of hostility coming out right now, because, they know that their positions are about to become uninherited. And, when you look at the Constitution language in the states where it does appear, it specifically says the emoluments are not to become inherited. And that also means by political parties. So when you talk about the election process and gerrymandering does nothing more than usurp right over top of the Electoral College or right under it, whichever way you want to talk about it. But, so like I say, the more we study this in depth and in detail, the more we recognize the reason that there are certain words that have been excluded from American jurisprudence as long as they have been. And it's like, okay, well, Yeah, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. I mean, you're starting to see state Supreme Courts come out with decisions like, no, states, you can't pass repugnant legislation that, eviscerates our state sovereign immunity. That just came out of Arkansas in the beginning of this year.
Mhm.
So I think it was like
Yeah,
what, 10
that goes
cases
right back to
overturned in that one.
this goes right back to what Trump did when he first got into office there, in March there when he did his executive order
Right.
auditing the entire executive branch. But he brought in over 100 new judges that he appointed across the country.
Mhm.
And one thing that he instructed to his the Supreme Court stuff people is, look, start upholding the Constitution of the United States of America, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. Start following the law.
Yep.
So this was, by the time June of 2017 rolled around, he'd already gone through the sheriffs of many different states, county sheriffs. He had a big county sheriffs meeting, and he's, most of them were down there around the border area.
Mhm.
And come to light on that was, oh, well, Obama told us to, disobey the law essentially on immigration and people coming across the border illegally. And I know there's a big objection to some of that being imposed because we're supposed to be free people, and but no. Obama, I mean, these sheriffs were saying that Obama said to, disregard that. Don't make any arrests. Let them come on through. You can't do anything, and so, these were videos that I watched throughout President Trump's, not just his campaign, but the time in as president and meetings that he had, flat out telling him, start upholding the law. So this is part of, some of the things that are going on in the background that you're not seeing in the mainstream media. We're not seeing any of that stuff because they don't want you to know. They want all of this propaganda and fake news out there to cause us to fight. You got me over here, and I've noticed that I've lost a few likes on Kirk's Law Corner since I've started posting stuff in the political realm of things. And, honestly, I don't care, really.
Yeah. I don't either. I mean, I'm very upfront about that. I could care less about your politics or your political agenda. I don't play either side, left or right.
Right.
So,
see, I don't claim that. Some people say, oh, well, you're ultra conservative, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm an American. I read the law, what it says as it is written. That doesn't make me conservative. That makes me an American. And that was something that was discussed at the round table with the founding fathers. Okay. Our founders discussed this kind of stuff, and that back to that Anglo-Saxon, fascism or communism. Which is it? Well, we want to be right up the middle. We're supposed to be following that fine line. And that is what a republic is supposed to be, is the fine line.
Mhm.
We're not supposed to be claiming that Republican.
Right.
Okay. Although the Constitution, a Republican form of government, the form, not a party, form.
Right.
Which means rights can't be put to a vote, period. Okay.
Correct.
The common law, the fundamental law can never be changed. The only thing that we can do as an amendment to the Constitution through an Article 5 convention is provide further limitations on government or further protections of our rights. That's it. We cannot grant more power to the government because the government doesn't even exist.
Right.
Government is a figment of the imagination.
Right.
We are self-governed here. This
And
is
it's
government right here.
Yeah.
That's the
About
supreme law of the land, the supreme due process of law. And then the Idaho Constitution, state constitutions, that's just the regular law of the land, how things are brought into being within the state.
Right.
But the supreme due process of law limits how things and what can actually be in this Constitution.
Yep.
Because This one was created before this one.
Right.
Idaho Constitution, I believe, was 1859.
Well, it's funny when you talk about the way our government is structured. Okay, everything is built on a check and a balance premise, correct? You can't do that without somebody looking over your shoulder, right? With one exception, and it's been that way for 230 years, and that is the practice of law.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a monopoly for 230 years. And that was where I said, that's it, you're done.
18.
And the more I went after them, and the more it was one thing to say it, it was something else to show it.
Yep. Idaho's Constitution, 1859, I believe.
Right.
The Organic Act, which I have, is amazing. The Organic Act for the Territory of Idaho.
Right.
But Cheryl, what is that book? This is published by our Secretary of State. That's just a publication. It's the Idaho Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution of the United States of America. I got this from the Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Great Seal of the State of Idaho. There it is, says it's published by the Secretary of the State. This is 2017 edition. This is what I put a judge and my ex's attorney on notice here March 24th. And the judge tried to tell me that, the Declaration of Independence isn't law. And I stopped him right there in the middle of the word law and said, yeah, it is. This is a law. I guess you're not aware that President Trump, through proclamation, reestablished the rule of law. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States of America, and the Bill of Rights on December 8th, 2017.
Right. So it's funny when we talk about the executive branch, which is the enforcement branch. Okay. President Trump said, hey, I need some help with the executive branch. I stepped up to the plate, said, hey, start with the preamble. We have common prosecutions, but what we don't have is to provide for the common defense, not in the practice of law anyway, because the only thing they were doing was prosecuting. So when I went around and I did my first judicial report, and I happened to say, we pointed out that, look, every one of these cases, every one of the defendants happens to work somewhere in the Department of Justice, right? And come to find out, our system of government, that branch in the federal level has a Department of State. But in most of the states, even if it does have a State Department, it's incomplete, right? It's built maybe to about there if you're lucky, right? You've got it. You may have an OIG, Office of Inspector General, and you may not. Right? What's this guy connected to? Nothing. So when you ask him and you send information to him, the only thing he can do is send it up the ladder to Congress, right? So I said, well, I'll tell you what, Office of Inspector General, I'm going to show you how this works, because guess what? Apparently, you don't know what the Department of State is supposed to do, right? Some idiot somewhere decided to increase prosecutorial discretion with statutes, codes, and rules and regulations, and tell these idiots who call themselves attorneys that those things are called law. Bullshit. So basically, the short version of this is we went in and we said, okay, in the corporate world, we have this spine. That's us, right? That's LP. In the private sector, we have departments, right? HR, shipping, and real estate division. You got all these different departments, and accounting. You have even payroll even has its own department now in most larger corporations. And you've got all these different things that are all run through, and loss prevention connects to everything. And we do everything based on what the law says. In other words, we don't have to go ask the court questions like, oh, hey, can I lie when I write the guidance for a human resource department? Can we tell them to lie? Because chances are they're going to say no. So, there are certain things when governing yourself, questions you don't even need to ask the court. So we can write our guidance based on pretty much what is pretty much, the common law, or common sense, right? And that's how we've been doing it in the corporations for years. Well, when they took all of these things and they put them over here and gave them prosecutorial discretion, that's when we started to have the problems with statutes, codes, rules, and regulations, which are not law. They just had these idiots convinced that they're law. No, this is the crap that we put in place to regulate the government. And what they're supposed to be reporting to is they're supposed to be reporting directly to Congress, and they haven't been. Now, the reason we know that is because where they are as it is right now, you got Congress cannot even get a copy of a guidance document. For example, Rod Rosenstein's bullcrap with his, I'm not going to turn over a copy of the FISA court documents and blah, blah, blah. We're going to redact them and we're going to decide what you're going to see. No. Congress is Congress. Congress decides what Congress is going to see. So now, you're going to start to pay close attention to D.C. over the next couple, 2-3 months, because you're going to see about a metric crap ton of changing going on.
It's coming.
Metric crap ton.
It's coming, dude. I've actually finally joined Twitter.
Oh.
So, yeah. I subscribe to like the generic setup when it, so I get on like ABC News, NBC, CBS,
right,
Washington Post, CNN, and it's funny watching the different media outlets, which I'm aware that around 116 different media outlets are owned and controlled by 9 different people. And it's funny watching and seeing the stories kind of say pretty much the same thing. They kind of reword it, and it's like, yeah, nobody has an independent thought for themselves because they can't, because they're being told what to say. They have to read what's on the teleprompter, and that's all told to them. And then you have Fox, who seems to be a little bit more out of all of them. And I'm not biased here. This is an unbiased opinion just by looking at what's being said and what's going on there. And then things like, reading briefings, watching some videos from Trump and what he's saying, watching videos from when he meets with certain people and, they're broadcasting it. So, and then things watching like House Oversight Committee hearings live. I've been subscribed to the House Oversight Committee hearings for 2 years. So, there's some of that stuff that I caught live. So I know if you haven't done the research and sat through hours of watching them grill Hillary Clinton and James Comey and the stuff on Hillary Clinton and several different topics of discussion. But, if you haven't watched that stuff, you have no idea what's really going on. You're basing it off of the mainstream media, which they are not telling the truth. I can tell you first, the House Oversight Committee meetings and exactly what Chris was just talking about. No, you're not going to tell us what we can and can't see. We're Congress. We're above you. We're supposed to be oversight. So you're going to give us everything unredacted, and we'll decide whether we'll provide oversight, because that's our job, not yours.
Right. So here's where it gets tricky. Okay. Remember, we've already said we're a republic, constitutional republic, right? We've covered that. The Supreme Court said you're not changing our founding documents. What they've tried to do with their guidance documents was overwrite our republic with their democracy BS that they're claiming, right? Oh, yeah, we're a democracy, right? That is treason. Period. End of discussion. It's treason. And we are going to come after them, and we're going to get them. And it ain't a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you right now, crap like that has been tried before, and it didn't work out well for them at any time that they've tried crap like that. So, these arrogant attorneys that think they're going to just walk in and they're going to roll right over you. Not me, they didn't. And they damn sure tried. So.
Yeah, well, we have a call. We have a call on the line here.
From the top down, which is what we've done.
We have a call, and this is.
We got somebody on the horn.
In my area, this is 208 area code, 5992. Is that Gary?
Yes.
Ah, how you doing, Gary?
I am.
Good answer.
Well, I got caught on the 24th, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I am.
Right.
Still haven't got my thing for my taxes yet because I won't sign the stipulation, so I can't file my taxes. So.
Okay, before. I'll get that one. So did you have a specific question that we can try and answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Who?
Yeah. We're waiting for your question.
Oh, I was wondering, her lawyer will not return my calls. Her lawyer will not acknowledge my office visits, and she keeps sending me paperwork and everything, asking me to send her stuff. Basically, they want me to sign my rights over to my girls in order to get this tax paper that I need to have to file my taxes with H&R Block. The judge doesn't even give me a chance to talk when I'm in the courtroom. I can't afford a lawyer, so I'm just on my own. And every time I start to say something, he tells me, to be quiet. So.
Okay. So yeah, I've talked to Gary a little bit, and I've kind of forgotten his stuff because of what I've been going through. They're trying to give him have him sign the stipulation, and I don't sign nothing if you don't agree with it. So, he's got court on the 24th, and they've basically bombarded him with paperwork and trying to force him into all this stuff. And if I remember right, something in the original paperwork, he's supposed to have the taxes for certain years or something like that, and you're not even supposed to be paying child support on certain part of it or something like that. I remember something about that.
Yeah, my disability.
Yeah. And that was in the original paperwork, and they're trying to get him to stipulate to waive all that.
Yep, I would tell them to pound salt.
Yeah, but
not sign it. And if they try to force you into it, that's a trespass of law. Period.
I guess. I mean, if it were me, I'd go in there with the decree of the way it is right now, and I would read from it and say, this is what it says. They're not complying with it, so we want to play this game. Here's some contempt of court charges, and I want them to follow what it already says now. I'm not going to stipulate to anything different than what it says now. So when they want to start following, then we can talk about it. but I'm not going to stipulate to anything, and it is right now. You need to follow what's in writing now, and you're not doing that. Judge, force them to do it. Because I mean, that's half the reason why they want you to do the stipulation is so that they can get out of what's in the decree that's already there, and they're hoping that you'll just fall for it and sign it, and that they'll threaten you and coerce you into doing it. Well, we're just going to do this and we're going to do that. Well, you ain't going to do nothing, because what's already in writing and signed is what's going to happen. All of that over there that you got going on, no, I don't think so. I don't consent to that, and I don't agree to it.
Is there is your divorce finalized, or was there a mediation done?
It was finalized December 2014. My wife has been remarried since August of 2015, but she's been living with the guy since she left me in October of 2014, before we were even divorced.
All right. So basically, the reason I'm asking for the timeline is, and did you guys do it through the court, or did you do it through mediation?
No, we did it through the court with the same judge that I'm seeing now, Judge Kershaw, but he seems to have a bias against me. He doesn't even let me talk. Yep,
they do. Go pull out your original decree of divorce, and you're going to look up the statute of limitations, and you're also going to see if there was something called a memorandum of understanding. They usually do write those in the administrative process. That's why I asked you if you did mediation or not. But believe it or not, some actual divorces do contain a memorandum of understanding. If there is an MOU, you can enforce everything on that MOU, and they cannot change it. And there is case precedent in every state that will uphold an MOU every time. So
I sent all that stuff to you, Kurt. All my divorce decree and everything. I don't know where to look for that. Did you happen to see that when you were looking at it?
If you're looking at your time files, it would come shortly before the decree was released.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically reading that, but I mean, the terms and conditions of the decree of divorce are the terms and conditions. That's it, as it is written. And the fact that she went out and got remarried, that kind of changes things.
Right. And even if there was spousal support at that point in time, as soon as she got remarried, that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of case precedent that goes after that as well, that will support that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she changed her conditions of living, that is what's referred to as a change in circumstances, right? And that would rise to the level of a significant change in circumstance to warrant a modification.
And that's what they're telling me is the reason they're taking me to court now, on top of the fact that I haven't seen my two girls since August, because my wife filed the CPS thing, and then CPS came back and said there was no credence to what she was saying, but they still are not letting me see my girls. My wife wants me to sign a stipulation that says that the girls can come and see me when they want to come and see me. And if they're at my house and they want to come home, then she can come and get them, and they don't have to stay with me. So I don't want to sign something that says basically I'm giving up my right to my girls just so I can get my, whatever that 8553 form is that I need to file my taxes. Even though I have the divorce decree that says I'm supposed to claim them, the IRS will not take that. They need my wife to sign that thing. Well, my wife signed that thing. Her lawyer has that, and her lawyer tells me, and I have the recording of her lawyer telling me that unless I sign the stipulation, I'm not getting that form.
Take that recording, go directly to the IRS, plant your ass in the chair, play that for the person sitting across the desk. You want to light a fire under them?
I did, and they told me that it's a court matter, that they can't do nothing about it. They need that paper.
The IRS?
Yes, they can. if the attorney is interfering in with your ability to file your taxes, that's interfering with government money, right? And yeah, don't try to interfere with the government's money. That's not going to end well for him. So what you're going to do is you're going to write up an affidavit of truth. That's just what you're going to call it, affidavit of truth. And you're going to inform the IRS in writing through the affidavit of truth that this attorney is obstructing. And he's obstructing. You went to the office and played the recording for the person sitting at the desk, and there's a record of that meeting. You will get a letter from the IRS with instructions on what to do next.
I'd also take it and do an affidavit, I think, and put it in, file it with the court right now. So when you go in there, well, here's my affidavit. I filed it with the court that the attorney has this document and he refuses to give it to me.
Mm-hmm. Use the same affidavit. At the bottom of the affidavit, put what's called a CC list, right? You're going to carbon copy the IRS and pretty much the U.S. Department of Justice, pretty much anybody you can think of, and you're going to send a copy of that affidavit to everybody on that CC list. So when the court looks at that CC list and recognizes you just brought the IRS and the United States Department of Justice and Department of State, who's sitting in? It was Rex Tillerson. Who's in there now? I don't remember. But anyway,
we don't have an OIG here,
but the federal does.
Oh,
and we're talking federal income tax, right? So one of the primary responsibilities of the OIG is to investigate fraud. So you got an attorney that's blatantly telling that he's blatantly committing it,
mm-hmm.
and he's interfering with your ability to file taxes. That's obstruction, period. So and again, they can't do that. No way are they going to do that and get away with it. That guy is playing with fire, especially right now.
Yeah, well, Judge Kershaw backs her up in the courtroom, so it's kind of hard when I go in there because.
Hey, don't worry about the court. The when you inform the court that you're bringing the feds in on it, you're going to see there's going to be a whole lot of stuff that's going to change. Because one of the things, though, they might even try to do is put a gag order on you. Can't do that either.
That'd be a violation of the First Amendment.
Yep. I know plenty of people who have beaten gag orders. So basically, just a little friendly reminder that, hey, statutes, codes, rules, and regulations are law. That stuff governs you, not me. So don't know where you got the opposite, but that ain't true. So not to put too fine a point on that. But, we talk about this a lot. You have to, when you file your paperwork, whatever the paperwork is, you literally have to claim your right, right? So that is and that's your responsibility to claim your right. And if you don't, then they'll bury you with them.
Yeah, I'm just not too smart about any of this stuff. I guess
Yeah, there's a whole lot of, one of the reasons we do this is because, we can teach you what the law says and some basic guidance on, kind of where to go to look for a specific version of a document. But what's in that document, it takes a little bit of reading and a little bit of research to at least actively engage. And, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, is we're trying to help get as many people engaged as we can. And But yeah, I mean, it's rough. This whole situation is a cluster. Done intentionally. So,
Well, thank you for your help. I'll try and see if I can figure out how to do one of those affidavits of truth. And,
yep. And just send it to everybody. At the bottom of it, like I said, carbon copy, little CC, and send it to the different departments. And that puts the court on notice, right? Once you put them on notice, that's a different animal. So.
Yeah, and I got one more question. They sent me this real thick packet of paper, basically asking if on the internet, if I have Facebook, basically a bunch of stuff about my personal life. And I don't feel that that's any of the business, especially since my wife has been married almost 4 years to this guy. My life should be my life, and I don't feel like disclosing any of that stuff to them.
You can attach just a cover page to it and send it back. Say, I refuse to answer under the grounds that could potentially and possibly incriminate myself. That's a Fifth Amendment violation. So
they say, oh, that's criminal. But the reality is that's irrelevant.
Yeah,
we're here to discuss custody of the children, right? If you
that's what I figure. That's what we should be discussing. But she wants to know, what shoe size I wear and all this. I think it's just something where they just go and they copy this whole packet that's about 50 pages long and wants me to answer every question in there, and I just think it's ridiculous.
Which else you may want to look up too is the statute of limitations, because chances are they had 90 days at the most, or up to 1 year, to modify a decree of divorce. Anything else past that, that's too bad, so sad for them. It is what it is. That's why
they want to do a stipulation, because they can't modify it.
Yeah, and they use the thing that there's been significant changes since the divorce, and that's the reason that they're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing a petition to modify, aren't they? Petition to modify the decree of divorce, and which they don't have any grounds for that, because it has to be adjudicated through the criminal side before you can come and do that. Which is the stuff that I'm going through and fighting right now. And I just filed my motion for dismissal stuff on Monday. And that is, there's no law enforcement, none. There's no support by law enforcement. Public prosecutor is declining to prosecute. And I have my Department of Health and Welfare unsubstantiated claim letter. How in the hell are you thinking that this is substantial changes, material and substantial changes that have occurred? And I already beat the crap out of them out there at the protection order hearing. So how do you think you're going to be able to use that same stuff and the same argument over here in the family court? I don't know. These people, it just basically they're hoping that you don't know what to do or how to stand up for yourself. And or the other thing is they're hoping that you have an attorney so they can play the games.
Yep. He'll admit
jurisdiction. And that's what happened. I had an attorney, and he twice he never even showed up to court. One time he called in and did it all over the phone, but he never. Everything that I asked him to say, he didn't say nothing. And they went in the back room, the judge and the lawyer, and then they came out and said what their decision was.
That's ex parte communication.
They sure as hell can't do that. Oh, nope. Man, the arrogance of these people, man. I'm telling you, dude. I just sit there and I watch it. Sometimes I think to myself, do you guys have any idea how much trouble you're actually going to be in when this shoe drops? Because it's going to drop. It's coming. Have you not read the omnibus bill? And it's like, just okay. It's your funeral, guys. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're going to be ones on the outside looking in, and nothing we can do about it. So,
Well, I can definitely get you squared away on an affidavit of truth.
I appreciate that. And I want to get off the phone because I know that it said that they had 4 people that were waiting to talk, and I don't want to take up everybody else's time, but I do appreciate the little bit of information I got. It's more than I knew. And I know ignorance is nothing that I should be proud of, but I just really am intimidated by the whole process. And I just am at loss, and I can't get no help, and I can't get no free help. I can't get nobody. I just don't understand, the process myself. So, but I do thank you for your help.
anytime, brother. I wish we could do more.
You're welcome, Gary. If I hadn't started getting into what I got served with and everything that I've been going through, I would have had some more time to help you. But
Well, God bless, and you guys take care, and I appreciate your show.
Anytime. Good luck. Call back. We got somebody else in the queue there, Ted?
we did, but they dropped out. So I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was probably Veronica. I'm not sure, because I know I seen on there Veronica was trying to, or thought she was going to call in. So
Her phone might have rang.
yeah,
Not like
right.
we don't know how that works.
It'll kick you right off. Yeah, I mean, this is some of the things they prey on, people not knowing what to do, and that's that whole attorney thing. They'll file massive paperwork, and
They will do everything to what they do. There's actually a name for it. Flood the court with irrelevant evidence and testimony, right? To literally bury you, make you go blind on paperwork, right? And that's when I just took the paperwork and went, see that one on top? That's nothing but 100% horse hockey. So everything else under it, it's done too.
That's about what I'm going to be doing. Here's the Department of Health and Welfare unsubstantiated claim letter. So I don't care what any of you other want to claim.
Right.
Nobody here has any standing to make any claims, because it's all unsubstantiated. This is all fraud.
Right.
We're done here. And by the way, I'm demanding the marriage contract be presented right here, right now. For this case, I'm moving the court to dismiss this case. All of it, from its inception, is void. Not going to be able to go to court and brand it as unconstitutional.
Right.
Okay, we'll try this again. Somebody else here. 6431.
They're not muted, are they?
Well, let's see.
Hello?
Hello.
Who are we talking to? Welcome to the show.
This is Matt Hoover.
Matt Hoover. I've seen you on here before.
Yeah, I've been in the movement now since 2014, and I've watched a lot. I'm good friends with Rebecca and all that, and a lot of people in the movement, and been fighting for my daughter since 2014. I tried to defend myself in court, and that didn't go over so well. I have a lawyer now, but lately...
You have an attorney. You don't have a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, an attorney. But he's taken forever to do anything. And my ex now has been refusing to communicate at all with me, been denying my phone calls. They had got me down to just phone calls and no visitation. And now she's even denying my phone calls. Won't answer, won't communicate. I mean, I haven't talked to my daughter in almost 2 months now.
What's the current standing order? What does it say?
Phone calls every Wednesday. And the thing is when we went to court, they had this plan where I did supervised visitations for so long, and then it would eventually go to unsupervised visitations and everything else. Well, that was at court, but then 2 weeks later, her lawyer went in front of the judge and got these orders signed that had nothing to do, no visitations, no, phone calls once a week, and none of that was in there when we were in the court. So then pretty much they pushed false orders through that the judge didn't approve while we were at court. I wasn't there for the other meeting with the judge and her lawyer when he pushed these false orders through.
Mm-hmm.
My lawyer pretty much told me I have to wait until a year is up before we can try to modify it, or we have to prove that, there's significant circumstances for a motion to modify.
Okay.
Wrong. Motion to notice of appeal.
What were the grounds? What were the grounds to deprive you of the right? And has it been adjudicated through the criminal court first?
The grounds to deny me a visitations right was because I tried to commit suicide, and they deemed me unstable, and that I needed to go to counseling and do some other stuff, which I have.
Who was they?
Her lawyer, and the judge.
Her lawyer and the judge deemed you unstable?
That's what they said, that I was unstable and that I needed to.
Credentials.
Yeah, they can't practice medicine from the bench.
Yeah.
Neither can the attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attorney can't practice medicine from the bar either.
Right? Where's their credentials in all this?
Yeah. But I was trying to defend myself at the time, which didn't get me anywhere. She paid her lawyer $40,000 pretty much to keep me away from my child.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty close to the same thing I'm dealing with. I mean, other than I haven't tried to commit suicide or anything like that. I allegedly
that was back in
on my son's body.
That was back in 2014 when that happened. So, I mean, here it is 4 years later. I'm still not getting visitations with my daughter. Barely getting phone calls if I'm lucky. And I need to know what to do to try to get this lawyer to do something faster, or this attorney to do something faster, or, get these orders changed so I can spend the summer with my daughter.
well, basically, the burden of proof is on the moving party. If they're going to try to deem you as a threat or whatever, they have to prove that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make an allegation. They got to prove it. You don't have to disprove it. This is the problem with them reverse practicing. With them reverse practicing, they're trying to set it up that you literally have to prove a negative, right?
Yeah. How do you prove a negative?
See, that's one of the things that royally pissed them off about me is I was able to do that because I'm just me. And, little did I know there's all of you guys out there suffering the same problem.
Yeah.
But, kind of the long and the short of it is it sounds to me like what the information they're trying to use against you would fall under what's called the exclusionary rule, under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. And in other words, they're trying to claim facts that are not in evidence. Where's the proof that you are this evil monster person?
Where's the expert witness to get on the stand and testify to the facts?
Right. Where's their documentation? Where's the medical reports? Where's the incident report, all of that stuff? If they can't bring that stuff into court and move the court, then guess what? It didn't happen.
Right.
If they can't prove it, it didn't happen. Period.
Yeah. Just because somebody over there says this doesn't make it true. And that's
right.
What they're finding out with me, or, in my case, is like, no, where's your evidence to support your claim? Well, that's called perjury. That's a felony. That's 1 to 14 years prison time in the state of Idaho.
Yeah, I mean, and then when we figured out that they're literally trying to enter facts that are not in evidence, and all of this other crap that they're pulling, and now they're even trying to don't look at it this way. Don't feel bad, because the crap they're doing to all of us, they're trying to do it with the president too. So,
Right.
Look at it this way. You should feel honored that they think that much of you to give you the same line of crap as they're giving Trump, right? So, so there's always the upside.
Yeah.
Well, right. And then, do you have any attorneys in the Houston area that you can recommend that will actually fight for my rights? Or
I don't know if he's in Houston.
Attorney?
There is a
guy for your
what the hell is his name? Kevin Acker. Look him up.
Kevin Acker?
Yeah, Acker Law. Look him up.
Do you know how to spell Acker?
I believe it's AKER or ACKER. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Okay.
Cheryl's like, just go to Houston.
Yeah.
Cheryl, if it were up to me, I would probably already be there. Long story about that, but it's just funny enough that could be a reality sooner rather than later from the way I understand it.
Yeah.
So,
and the court I'm fighting against is they're being looked at by the government for their practices and everything else. And the biggest problem is I live in Indiana. She's down in Houston. So I've been fighting this all the way, 1,000 miles away, having to travel back and forth to court.
Guess what? I got some good news for you. You say the case is in Texas?
Yeah.
Guess what's getting ready to go away in Texas?
What's that?
No fault divorce. So let's just say
they didn't have no fault divorce either. I looked up the law and they actually had fault divorce, but that didn't matter. Every motion, everything that I objected to, the judge actually took one of my motions and laughed and threw it over her shoulder behind her.
Yep. So I know exactly right where you're going with this, and they're trying to do it. They're hoping that we're going to give them Article 3 proceedings, juries and stuff like that. It ain't going to fly. It ain't going to fly. Them using courts to adjudicate divorces and, interfering in rights left and right, it ain't going to fly. I mean, and the good news is a couple of buddies of mine and we've given them something to replace it with that works more efficiently. It's a hell of a lot cheaper, like almost zero compared to what courts cost. So, and it pays for itself. So, I don't think the math was too hard for the state of Texas to put that, to put that together. So, yeah. Oh man, I can't believe you didn't tell me. I didn't realize this case was in Texas. Crap! I wish I'd have known that.
Well, he's in Indiana and she's in Texas.
Right, but the case is in Texas. Mm-hmm. It is the case is in Texas. That could be beneficial for him.
I hope so. Well, I just keep hoping and praying that I, get to see my daughter soon because, I haven't seen her since August of 2015 now. So.
Hey, do me a favor. PM me outside the show. I got a guy over there you might want to talk to. Actually, there's two guys over there you might want to talk to. And one of them.
And who's it? Is this Kirk?
Huh?
That's Chris Hallett.
Is this Kirk or who am I talking to?
This is Chris Hallett.
Chris Hallett? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I'd almost guarantee it.
Okay.
This one I can help. I'm in this state. Texas, I'm in Texas, so metaphor.
Well, I will send you a PM. I would appreciate any help I can get because, like I said, this has been a battle since 2014 now, and all I want to do is get this over with so I can just spend time with my daughter.
Right. Yep.
So she's not getting any younger, and I'm not getting any of that time back. So
right here.
Where was the original case started out of?
Houston, Texas, the 257th District Court.
Okay.
So you moved from Texas to Indiana?
Yeah. Well, we were both from Indiana. She'd moved down to Texas when my daughter was 6 months, and pretty much said, if you want to see your daughter again, you're going to come with us. So I sold my business, rented my house out, moved down to Texas. 2 years later, she was taken off with another man from work that's like 20 years older than her. And I didn't have no friends, no family down there, nowhere to go. And I had no choice but to move back here to Indiana.
Yep.
No friends, no family down there, nowhere to go.
Yeah, seriously.
And I
get a
had
hold
no
of me,
choice but to move back here to
I got some
Indiana.
names for you.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely will. As soon as I get off the phone, I'll send you a PM.
Yep.
No friends, no family down there, nowhere to go.
Right.
Well, I appreciate it. I
Get a
had
hold
no
of me,
choice but to move back.
Yeah, those guys over there, they all know me.
I definitely will. Okay. Well, I appreciate your guys' time, and I look forward to working with you some more. And, amen to all of you.
All right, man. You too. We'll be talking soon.
Yep. Take care.
All right. Thanks.
Man.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I get lucky, something like that.
Right.
That's a state where I've actually got some work done, and they're seeing the benefit of what that does. And, they're like, because even the judges are going, oh, yeah. We get to protect our bench, And, it's just the way it should be, When you pay somebody to do the job, you expect them to what's called in fiduciary practice, there's a thing called an expectation of performance.
Reasonable expectation.
Yeah. So, how many out there? I'm sure, pretty much everybody watching is paid, at least $5,000, if not more. I don't even want to go into it with my case, but even just the bare minimum, hey, I'm going to pay you to do this and this and this, and come to find out they haven't done anything.
Right. And like
Other
you said, his attorney wouldn't file paperwork or nothing.
Yeah. Walk in, admit jurisdiction, and then walk out, and then leave you there to get eaten by the shark.
Right.
What the hell? So
what it sounds like to me is they're playing the game of wait until the child starts school this next year. Got to wait for a year before we can. So then it makes it even harder.
Drag it out, right? Pay more money, billable hours, right? What do we know about how that works? It's like, that shtick. Looks like we just got a call come up.
Yeah, we got another one. Hello, you're on the air with Kirk and Chris at Kirk's Law Corner.
Hi, Kirk. Hi, Chris. It's Veronica.
Hey.
Hi, Veronica. You made it.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I spoke with my attorney from the public defender's office. They still want me to turn myself in. And I told her no.
What?
I told her that I did nothing wrong, and she's got to represent me all the way.
Right?
She's trying to tell me, no, she doesn't represent when you break PTI, pre-intervention before trial. And I told them that they have to indict me by a grand jury. I'm not going to trial unless I'm indicted by a grand jury.
Right.
Well, that's not how it works here, they said. So I told them that Gloucester County Courthouse has violated my rights and my children's rights. My son David was tasered by a man that I knew, and he was denied a jury trial. The lawyer that represented this person also represented me. I found out that his wife works at the courthouse. His paralegal friended me on Facebook. He got a year probation, failed a drug test in July, but that's not breaking probation. Then failed another drug test in open court for cocaine. Both times. Not violation of probation. The prosecutor who represented the case I knew her. My oldest son and her son went to school together. I told my attorney from the public defender's office that this is retaliation because I'm defending my children's disability rights that have been violated since 2010. And Judge Becker cannot represent the case because he violated my rights. Well, I don't know anything about this. I have to look at discovery. I said, you need to look at discovery? I said, another public defender called me and told me that they sent me discovery. So what do you mean you have to look at discovery?
Sounds like they better get to reading.
Well, what's their basis for the criminality to begin with? What are they saying that you did?
They're saying I eluded police and I resisted arrest. I said, no, I didn't. I said, first of all, you got to have me in custody for me to resist arrest. Nobody had me in custody. I said, I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah. Again.
I said, so they need to have jurisdiction. And they don't.
Where's your standing? Where's your right to a cause of action?
Yeah. What's their standing in law?
Right. They don't have any.
Yeah. And that's the real answer. And that's what they're mad about because we know it. And they know we know it.
Right. And then I got another judge in Deptford who's got me, I got a warrant out for me for contempt of court for tickets I never got. And it's all in Gloucester County. So I'm being set up left and right. I said, this is all in retaliation because I called October 25th to find out why she didn't come call me back because I filed a claim with victims of crime to help with getting relocation, and that I found out that Doug Baker's wife worked for the courthouse, and that his paralegal friend requested me. I spoke to Jill at 1:06 p.m. She told me to write everything down. I said, next thing I know, I'm arrested on Halloween with no warrant. I sat in Camden County Jail for 2 days until I wrote, Judge Grant warned you about violating a disabled person's rights. All of a sudden, I get picked up by Gloucester County Sheriff. They told me I missed a court date on October 17th. No, I didn't. If I did, I would have got arrested when the police were at my hotel the Wednesday before. I said, nobody had a warrant. They're asking me at Gloucester Township, do you find out what the warrant's for? I said, no. They got told to send me to the hospital before they sent me to the court, sent me to the jail because I have medical problems and I'm on medicine. They never did that. When I came home, I had a black mark on the back of my knee. I went through withdrawal of all my meds. Sat in one jail for 48 hours, sat in another jail for 72 hours. You're supposed to go right to a magistrate judge.
See, this is my problem.
Treaties on arrest and false imprisonment.
That's when I'm filing a declaration of rights lawsuit for both times.
No.
Not that may come later, but
it has the documents in there, templates. Follow exactly what the templates show you to do. Put your information in the place of those words that are in those document templates, and then attach the whole treaties on arrest and false imprisonment to your documents and file it.
Okay, and in New Jersey, we have bail reform.
I don't care what they got.
You were on medication.
Yeah. For my PTSD, my muscular dystrophy, and bipolar.
Okay, so you're a MD. There's also it's not the ADA. There's the American. Is that ADA? Americans with Disabilities Act? Right?
Yes.
Yep, that's the ADA.
That's muscular dystrophy. That would be. You should be able to claim some type of an exemption under ADA.
All right, David, and my youngest son was born disabled and has a state ID. Okay, and my middle son had early intervention. They kidnapped my boys from their school on March 8th, 2012.
Let me guess, something medical, right?
Oh, yeah. trying to say he wasn't autistic.
Yeah. Gotta love this Obamacare.
But that's not the thing is, this is what they did. They had me fill out family health care paperwork. They only put Daniel and David, my two oldest, on it. They never put my youngest on it. And I have the paperwork from social services.
Yep. Guidance documents.
They were taking them starting March 1st. They didn't care what happened.
Yep. So this boils down to exactly what we've been running into repetitively since, at least for me, since I started this. They're attempting to enforce guidance documents as law, which are guidance documents they write based on statutes, codes, rules, and regulations, which even most of those, which we're finding out through the basic audits that I do, and a bunch of us are getting together and doing each state. Probably more than 50% of those have already been deemed unconstitutional. So they got stuff codified that the law it's based on has already been shot down. So how the hell can you claim good full faith and credit in a document that's not even based in anything lawful?
Right.
Right. Wait, and I had the state of New Jersey in my home from August 2007 until August 2009. Because my youngest son was never supposed to walk or talk. But guess who taught him? I did.
Right.
And then they claimed both boys were no longer disabled and pushed them through school.
Crazy.
So the protection order that I just stuff that I went through, and it really helps to read the paperwork that you receive. And one of the first things on there, it says, full faith and credit from Title 18 United States Code 2265 from 1994 in parentheses.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to go look this code up, do your research, look at your paperwork, look at what their grounds are, make sure everything is in order.
Right.
And actually, Fernando Cook, he's the one that found that case. And it was like just a couple of days before I was getting ready to go to the first hearing, he sent me a message, and there you go. Case out of 2000 that found the Women Against Children or Violence Against Women and Children Act. Portions of it, the way it was being applied to the states. This the way it's written right here, full faith and credit from 1994, this is in 2000, was found to be unconstitutional as it violated the Commerce Clause and the 5th section to the 14th Amendment. I brought that up in court, and they still just kind of blew over it, which I'm well aware, just like everybody else, that the first court that you go into, they're gonna railroad you. It's a given. If that's that admiralty jurisdiction. That is a machine. It is designed to put you in one side, grind you up, and spit you out the other side. But that is not the end all be all of due process of law. When we're talking about in a court proceedings, you still have the appellate court, and then you still have the Supreme Court. And that's in the state side of things. If you go all the way to a state Supreme Court and you still don't get justice, you can go right into the federal court. And you can actually still go into the federal court the second your rights are being deprived and they're acting under color of law.
Right.
I haven't gotten there yet, but I will.
Right. Well, it's funny because it was one thing for me to walk in there and tell them. It was something else to walk in and show them. It was something else to show them that what they're doing, they can't do. Then it was something else to show them that there is such a thing that does exist in law. It's like, oh crap, So
yeah.
I said we can't make this stuff up, man. It's like watching a bad Twilight Zone.
And it's essentially the same for everybody, and that's the thing. Is like people have been at this for so long. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, the ones that have been successful, at least somewhat getting most of their rights, are the ones that don't have an attorney.
Right. You know, it's funny because there was some crap circulating around now that, oh yeah, I've lost all of my cases and this and that. I'm thinking to myself, well, what's your definition of the word win and lose? Because what is on the wall behind me was, in my first particular case, that was what I ended up in. That's what I wanted to go after, was the practice of law. I knew they couldn't do what they were doing. And then, and upon further, going into it, I realized it was a monopoly. Said, no, you ain't doing that either. And you know how I know that? Because you already said that. So, and here's when you said it. So, that whole process, that whole thing. Then the second time I did it, I said, okay, 3 houses of Congress, we're going to use this courtroom as a meeting room. I'm going to serve everybody these documents, and we're going to go over this by the numbers. And lo and behold, it was true. They're discovering it. Attorneys, because they have no due process to follow, if something ever does happen to them, they become arrogant and hostile. Well, let's see. What are we dealing with now? Arrogance and hostility. I think I'm seeing a parallel there. And, it's just, like I said, so.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows.
Win versus lose.
I'm Kirk, and that's Chris over there. I don't know where John is at tonight, but I don't know if people keep getting us confused or what here, but the ignorance of the law is no excuse. Okay, this is part of the reason why I started Kirk's Law Corner. And I'll actually go back to be all completely honest about why I started Kirk's Law Corner, the group, was so that I could just do my own studies and put it in my own group. And then when I want to go write my paperwork, I go to my group where I've done my research and put it in there and pull it out of there and put it into my paperwork. That is originally what I started Kirk's Law Corner group for. And then, well, you got to start a page. You got to start a page. I'm like, okay. So we started a page, pretty much doing the same thing, because I kept the group private. I don't, I've got documents in there and that kind of stuff. So kind of some of the same stuff that's I've uploaded into Amber and Steven. But, this is about teaching, sharing the law, teaching you guys. This is about education. As it is written, this stuff is we cannot physically come do this for you. I mean, it's literally impossible for us to come do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the reason.
This is an interesting point.
Why we're doing what we're doing. We're sharing this information. We're answering questions. We're educating, and which is good, because when somebody asks a question, there's probably 10 other people out there with the same freaking question.
Exactly. And I'm going to share a little tidbit real quick here. Let me grab it real fast. This paperwork. If you guys really want to irritate an attorney, walk in the courtroom with one of these.
They don't have time to defend your constitutional rights.
Huh?
They don't have time to defend your constitutional rights.
Because when they start this, this is for our recent.
Okay, this is right back to what we were just talking about. All right, you need to understand this. Due process of law does not end in the first court that you're in. You are there. I'm going to say it for myself. I am there to make my record. So when I file my appeal, the appellate court gets to see the transcripts of what I said in court and on the record, because that's what they look at. So that's part of why they don't want to hear you. So again, this is something I've put out there before. Back to grade school, we were taught to raise our hand to be heard. Okay. And the very first thing that you have to do is you have to do a notice of appearance, whether you're appearing generally or specially. So you have to let them know who you are.
Right.
And, that's just part of how this works. You have to raise your hand to be heard. And then in order to further that, you have to file your motion.
Raising my
right, but I'm trying to lay this out here. So
I'm kidding.
we have to file the motions to be heard. The motion,
right?
The notice of hearing. This is we're not going to be heard if you don't follow proper procedure to be heard. This is the problem.
Well, Kurt, I'm going to interject there, and I'm going to tell you that even sometimes when you do file the proper motions, they attempt to run you over and tell you your motion doesn't apply or ignore your motion. It does happen. You have to be firm on it. You have to be firm on it.
And here's one of the things that I do when I stand there in court and they try to talk over you. I just very calmly pull up Article 4, Section 2. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. And you want to know what that does? That always provokes a question. And the question is, well, what is that supposed to mean? I'll explain. No person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered upon claim of the party to whom the service or labor may be due. So in other words, somebody is saying that I owe them something, they have to prove it.
Yeah.
Right?
Burden of proof on the moving party.
Yeah, they're the moving party. They're the reason that we're in this room. They have to prove it. Where's their contract? And they went, well, I got a paper here. I said, that paper is not a contract with my signature on it. And I can tell you that because I know I haven't signed it. And they went, crap. Yeah, that's trying to get somebody holding somebody in terms and conditions of contract they don't have.
Let me tell you the answer I got with that question.
Huh?
The answer I got answering that question when I asked it in court, the judge piped up and said, it's a statutory obligation. And I said, hold on a second. I said, statutory obligations are only imposed when you fail to meet a duty. Where's the evidence that I failed to meet a duty? He didn't have nothing to say about that. He still...
Yeah, and the answer to that is what's the duty and what's my position in government? Because I have never gotten a government paycheck. And I still haven't gotten a government paycheck, just for the record. So, where's this duty you keep talking about? Because if you're going to hold me in terms and conditions of contract with the government, you better be able to demonstrate you paid me for a service or a good or whatever. And if you can't show that you paid me for my goods or services, your statutes, codes, rules, and regulations don't even apply to me.
Right.
Moving on, right? And it was like, they know darn well when you point out the fact that you can literally definitively show that they are reverse practicing this crap. That's proving a negative. That's where I always talk about higher mathematics and calculus and proving negatives. That's actually easy to prove. And one of the ways in calculus you prove a negative is to enter in a contrary positive. Well, what's the contrary positive? The contrary positive is they're reverse practicing statutes, codes, rules, and regulations because those aren't law. So,
well, again, in my findings and reading my Idaho code, it's policy this, policy that, policy that. And then you go to, and that's all in like Department of Health and Welfare.
Yeah.
And then you go over here to the legislative part, which is still in the Idaho code, right? Policy this. Well, the policy says, so the legislature's making statutes off of policy created by an agency of the executive branch. That's reverse practice. That's bass backwards. Okay. Putting that cart before the horse.
Yep.
No, the way it's supposed to be is we, the people, lay down the law and we limit what the government, the legislative branch, can create as agencies. And we also limit what those agencies can and can't do.
Right.
And anytime their policy gets out of line, we're supposed to be able to put the kibosh on that. And that's something that we actually, here in Idaho, HJR 5 last year did an amendment to our Constitution allowing any time during the year that we find an agency's rule or regulation or policy that is repugnant to the law, we can abolish it right then and there.
Yep.
So this is one thing I've already got a Word document that I've been working on for some time. And then we got into the legislative session, and that's just now coming to an end. So we're in the voting cycle. So I've got tentative plans to actually meet with Idaho representatives at the Capitol.
Right.
I'm going to go over this policy. Here's the law. Here's the policy. The policy is repugnant because the legislative intent is created off of policy, and an agency cannot create law. Shall not have the force of law.
Is it repugnant, or is it in conflict of interest? Because there's a difference. Right?
It's repugnant.
Well,
it's repugnant because an agency does not have the power to make policy that has the force and effect of law.
Correct.
That's a fact.
There's your
so it's
that's
repugnant.
what's repugnant. That is the part that's repugnant, right?
Right.
So but the policy itself is in conflict with the law, and that conflict is what you just got done saying, right? So when we talk about how we articulate this stuff, remember, one thing that attorneys are good at is word salad, right? And believe it or not, I got just as good, if not better than they did, but since I started this. So yeah, word salad is it can be fun when done right.
Well, teach us some, Chris.
I'm working on it. I just dropped in 14 whatever it was pounds of paper in on the practice equalization bill on the Judiciary Committee by their request.
Funny. It's funny, Chris, that you say that word salad, because I had an argument with a guy on YouTube over the right to travel a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And in his arguments, I could see that he was either studying to be a police officer or a lawyer or attorney. I will say attorney, not lawyer. And he just kept telling me I had nothing but word salad. I said, well, it's clear to me that you are in law school, either becoming a police officer or an attorney by the stance that you're taking on the right to travel. You don't clearly know the law. You're being taught what they want you to know, not what the law is.
Yeah.
He hasn't responded since.
Let's take this other call over here. 6561 is the last four. Who do we have with us tonight?
This is Scott Hudson out of Tennessee.
Out of Tennessee. How you doing, Scott?
All right, Kirk. How you doing?
Hanging in there.
What's happening, Scott?
One day at a time.
Hey, Chris. How you doing, brother?
Oh, same, brother. What brings you to the show tonight?
Well, I kind of talked to y'all a little while back when John was on the show about what is going on with me up here, but I wanted to give y'all an update. Today, I went to see a criminal defense attorney about what has happened to me with illegal incarceration for child support and the doctoring of the paperwork and all that. Well, I contacted the child support agency Monday. I went up there and tried to confront them in person while I was recording what was going on. They just didn't know I was recording it. And I told them how corrupt they were, how I had proof of never owing child support, that they had doctored the paperwork, because they actually took my personal money order receipts when I was in court and would not give them back to me because that was some of my proof. And so I had to actually go to call into Nashville to ask the main office for copies of my history for the last 10 years to prove that they were charging me too much money. But Nashville has told me that I am going to have to get online to get all this proof, but they have gave me the way to go. Well, I was talking to my lawyer today about what y'all had told me the last time you kind of on the show. You let me know that, when a lawyer kind of swears in and takes his oath, that he actually swears allegiance to the courts, not to protect the people.
Correct.
Not to protect his client.
That's an American jurisprudence.
And that kind of made him do a two-step backwards, This lawyer 2 years ago, when they were doing all this attack on me, see, what had happened was I do a lot of protest and a lot of demonstrations for our civil rights, for our constitutional rights, and to protect Southern heritage. Well, they had gotten up. Our sheriff, I guess I had rubbed him pretty wrong, and he didn't like it, and it went public, me and him having a face-to-face go-out, and him cussing out my group and a bunch of children and telling us all that he would arrest us for being on property that he had no authority to be on. So he's the one that put all this in motion to have the county come after me for fake child support, to doctor up child support. So he wrote all this stuff up into a nice bow for me for when I got to court, I would have this major surprise. Well, he had me charged with another thing that was called accessory after the fact to a felony. I had to pay to bond out of jail. I had to spend $15,000 on a lawyer, and they never charged a principal felon. They never charged a principal person with a felony for me to be an accessory to. So that was totally illegal because there was never a felony for me to be an accessory to be charged with. So 2 days before my trial was to begin, they threw the case out. They dismissed it because they had no evidence. When we filed for a motion of a bill of particulars, they couldn't come back with anything to give to us. So here I am still 2 years later fighting this. I've been into the district court. They've thrown me out. And I've tried going back into a different district court, and they throwed it out. So now I've been talking to John about filing to the Supreme Court because even this lawyer that I paid $15,000  2 years ago to today told me also that the district court systems are corrupt. They all play ball with the judges in the smaller courts.
Oh, yeah.
They all protect each other. They all scratch each other's backs.
All that ex parte communication going on in the background.
I'm trying to figure out how to fight these people. I haven't seen my son since before December. I don't even know. I don't even know if he's alive. I don't know nothing. I've tried calling his mom. I've tried calling his grandparents. I've texted his phone. I've called his phone. She moved him out of state without notification to the courts or to me. My son told me that his mom was planning on moving, and I let him know. I said, she can't do that without notifying the court. It is in our paperwork for my visitations for when we got divorced. She has to notify the courts, and they have to tell her, hey, it's okay. You got to give him notice. You got to give him the address of where he's going to be living. I got none of that. I don't know where my son is. So I've asked the Southport court for help with that, and they refused it. They said, well, we have an address on file, but we're not giving that to you because it's confidential. Well, the police try to get it from her at the child support office. They try to get it from the lady, and she would not give it to the police so they could go do a welfare check and a wellness check to see if my son was actually even okay. So my question to them was, I said, if y'all call yourself child support, what do you look at? Do you look at dollar signs, or do you look at life, limb, and liberty? Is that how you look at support of the child, or is it just dollar signs?
Right. So the reality is,
my support means my son, health and safety and all.
Support is not actually supposed to be money. That's what
That's all they look at too, though.
But support is supposed to be that, custody, care, and nurturing the love of your child. This comes from the law of nature. So, is that on your end?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what direction do I take now, because a whole bunch has changed with me. When I was in court back then, I even told them, I was in the process of getting disability. I've had major back surgeries, and they have disabled me physically for the rest of my life. And the courts and the district attorney's office acted like they had no knowledge of this. Well, 2 weeks ago, my paperwork finally came through from the courts, and they wrote it all the way back to when I told them, way before I even went to court, a year and a half before I ever went to court, that I was disabled, all the way back to 3.5 years ago. So they totally ignored that I was even partially disabled. They would not bring witnesses in. I had to have a trial right there on the spot without my attorney present. My attorney told me to ask for a continuance. The judge denied it. He said he was in trial in Grundy County, and there was no way he could get there with an hour's notice. And they denied that. And I told him I could not there was no way for me to get witnesses there or experts. And the judge was like, what kind of experts do you need? And I said, well, I need my doctors, the people that know that I'm disabled, that you're acting like you don't know nothing about. Well, they're not going to change the outcome of my decision. So that request is also denied. Well, I had to have a trial with no legal representation right there on the spot. And I was gave 180 days in jail for the claim that I owed $236 in back child support.
See that right there? That's a bill of attainder.
Hello.
That's a trespass of law. That jurisdiction has no standing in law because. Can you show me?
Yeah. Preach, brother. Amen.
Can you show me where that is right there? Can you show me where that process exists right here out of the Constitution of the United States of America? Because if it doesn't exist there, it can't exist inside the states.
Right. And when I told the judge that he was violating, and all this is recorded, I actually went to the court and got the file. I made them download it to a hard drive for me to have my trial because there's cameras in the courtroom and they have to record it. So I got all of it. I got the whole trial transcript. And I told the judge during the trial that he was violating my due process rights by not letting me have an attorney.
Yep. Amen, brother.
And he told me that if I kept talking out of turn, that he was going to charge me with contempt. So this is the type of judge that I deal with. But 2 months after my case was thrown out of district court where I was trying to get him disbarred.
Fuck niggers, fuck niggers, fuck niggers, fuck niggers.
You know who that was?
About 2 months after I was trying to get him disbarred, this judge has retired.
I know who that was.
Starting to draw some loonies.
Yeah. Right. I know who it is.
Just said call in user 1.
But Chris, can you and Kirk still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my question to y'all is, with all that happened to me, here's the big catch-22. I was when I first had my car wreck in 2005. That's what originally messed me up. That's what has caused this disability. I got behind in my child support, a little over $1,000. Well, they never even attempted to ever put me in jail then, never once. Okay, but they put an arrears payment on me of $10 extra a week. Well, a month later, I zeroed my balance of child support. I paid it all off. Well, they never removed that arrears payment. I just caught that arrears payment was still on me the middle of last year. So from 2005 all the way up to 2017, I was still paying $10 a week extra on my child support that was not ordered by the judge that I had to pay because I zeroed my account. So in close, I think that if you look into it, once we get our audit system back where we're fixing to audit my child support, they're going to actually be owing me thousands of dollars for $10 a week for 2005 till last year when they finally put it into court and had the judge remove the $10 arrear payment.
Yeah, it's
So I was never in negative anyway in the first place. But I mean, I knew I wasn't anyway because I keep all my money order receipts. That's one thing my father's always taught me to do when it comes to child support is keep my money order receipt. But that was the other thing that bothered me the most was when I tried to show them that I paid my child support and I had my receipts. They refused to give me my receipts back because they said they entered them as evidence. And I said, well, those are my federal documents from the post office. You cannot keep them. They never gave me 15 money orders back that I paid.
Well, you got to remember, never turn in originals, only copies.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, not only that, when you do money orders, you have two parts of it. One's the money order, and the other one's the receipt. You always hold the receipt.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what I gave them in the court was my receipts. I'm sorry, I said money order, but the receipt for my money orders.
No,
the way I get my money orders is a postal, so as you write it, it does the carbon copy.
Right.
Yeah, but you always hold on to the original of your documents. You always make copies. I've even had.
So are they legally allowed to keep your receipts that belong to you that come through your post office?
No, that's your property. You can allow them to examine them, but they have to return them.
Comes through your post office.
Yeah, because I bought it at my post office, so that would make that federally covered and protected, right?
Doesn't matter. Anything you purchase is your property.
Well, yeah, but you're supposed to keep the receipt.
Right. Well, I was just showing them to them. I just handed them to the DA to show them that I had paid it, and they took them and never gave them back. When I tried to get them back, they refused.
Listen up, folks. You never let go of any of your original documents. Yep. You always make copies. You get original documents in your safe place. You give copies.
Yep. Never
that
originals.
Any filings, motions, anything. No originals.
Yep.
I have been preaching this for months.
I've had
give originals
to the courts tell me, "Oh, you have to file the original." I said, "No, ma'am. That original is mine."
Hey, Kirk, are you and Chris both able to practice
in this document? This is my document, not yours. My document. I am in control of this document.
Are you and Chris both lawyers?
Kirk's not. I am.
Yeah, I'll claim.
Okay.
I'm a law.
Well, my question to you is this lawyer. My other question to you is this lawyer that I went to see today. I paid him, like I said, 2 years ago $15,000 because he said that he would need that to take my case to trial. Well, they threw my case out 2 days before trial because they had no evidence. The only thing he ever had to file was that he was defending me and a motion to get particulars. And then they dismissed it because they had no evidence. So I never got my money back. $15,000. I never got anything back. He said that he said that it was money well spent. Is how he looked at it.
Well,
even though I knew that they never charged a principal felon, I knew that there was nobody ever charged with a felony for me to be an accessory to. I knew more about my case than he did, which, I mean, I'm certified legal representative. I have been for 18 years. I can't practice because I'm a felon.
Well,
I got convicted when I was 18 years old. I'm almost 40. and I'm trying to actually get him to file this in to get me an expungement now.
This is why I keep it just bugs me, because there is a difference between a lawyer and an attorney. Okay, lawyer, that's two words put together. It's called a pronoun. Law sayer. I don't know who. I'm removing that sucker every time. I don't know who that is. So attorney, the root word of attorney is attorn, to attorney, attorney.
Right.
Okay, that is to take your property and give it to somebody else, and that's that attorney we talk about, and that's why we go back to that corpus juris secundum that says, you know, the attorney's first line of allegiance is to the court, then to the public, and never to the client.
To the bar. Right? Big time difference.
Yeah, the client gets the breadcrumbs that are left over.
Right.
Well, I know I seen a degree hanging on his wall. I asked him about it, but he never commented on it. But it said Doctor of Jurisprudence. I can't remember what it meant, jurisprudence, but I know it's
that means the science behind the law.
Sorry, my baby's crying. My wife's trying to control him, but he's trying to follow me around because Daddy keeps walking out to talk on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
Well, pick him up and carry him with you.
That's Daddy's boy.
It's kind of hard. He's about 40 pounds, and I have had 4 back surgeries.
Okay.
I've been holding him for a while, but he's got to where he's hurting me now. My medicine's not overruling his weight.
Sit down and put him on your knee.
Right?
Yeah. Sit down and put him in your lap.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll try that. See if he'll behave on the front porch with me. That's the only place I can really talk to y'all at. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on.
And that's going to end our show for tonight, folks. So you know we're down the 2-minute countdown here. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we are at the 2-minute warning.
So want to thank y'all.
At this juncture in my life, what do y'all think that y'all would suggest that I do?
Well, let's hold for now. We'll do a little bit of an after show with you, Scott. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and
Absolutely.
we're going to start being a little more punctual about cutting this off at 8:00 is what I've been informed we should be doing. So, because we can just rattle on. Obviously, for those of you that have tuned in and watched us before, we can just continue to talk and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah, it'd be like you'd hear the rooster outside. You know, we'd still be talking. You know,
so like, share, go in there when the following part there, and get notified when we go live. You know, see first type stuff.
Right.
So, another thing to do is join the Amber and Steven group and the Kirk's Law Corner group. We have Christopher Hallett has his stuff over there. I've got some stuff in my private group. YouTube, we've created a YouTube channel, Kirk's Law Corner, same thing. Kirk's Law Corner is a YouTube channel. Okay, so apparently on the YouTube channel, we have to have 10,000 views to monetize it, I guess. So at any rate, we're going to be making little video clips of how to write your paperwork, and also simulcast broadcasting this live show on YouTube channel as well. So if you're having problems on Facebook, you can always go over to YouTube and start watching it on YouTube, which from what I understand is pretty much glitchless over there. So, and much love to you folks out there. Hang in there, one day at a time. We're trying to do what we can to restore the Republic. And the other thing is John Gentry's idea there of what we're coming together on that is the 50 United States, the people of the 50 United States against the United States for failure to be in compliance with Article 4, Section 4, a Republican form of government. So we're going straight to SCOTUS with this, and we're wanting at least one from every single state that, basically represents the state, just the name. John's going to do the paperwork. We're going to help John do the paperwork and stuff and do the information stuff. But we also need people that, basically your name is part of the complaint. Yeah, I was screwed over. We kind of get a little bit about your story. And we also need help going through the statutes and the constitutions from all 50 states to find anything that is repugnant. We are going to do a little short video on how to do searches within the code and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be on YouTube as well. We'll have that on Facebook as soon as we get that one made. I thought we were going to make that one Monday night after the show, but Chris, over to you for a minute or two.
I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in, and we're finding out new stuff every single day. I do everything I can to try to get as much out there as I can. I just dropped in, the year-end reports for my company in on the, as of this past Friday, in on the Judiciary Committee in DC. Per their request, they wanted to see what loss prevention looks like as an independent practice. Because remember, this is the R&D phase, right? Every corporation has its research and development phases. So I said, okay, let's do an R&D, just a trial run at it, take a look at it and see what happens. Well, when we started to point out just the simplicity of equal protections, we didn't even go beyond that. Basic stuff like conflicts of interest. The fact that, believe it or not, attorneys, whether they're good or bad, don't have a due process to follow in case something ever happens to them, right? So, they're literally hanging by a thread. So we pointed that stuff out. Hey, how can a good actor attorney help us if we don't stand by and help them? To me, it was a simple question. So we just went in and just, personally, myself, I was working with the help of these guys. I went in and I spent the last couple of years working this project. And now the reporting is before them as of Friday. So, once that comes out from the Judiciary Committee, I'll be reporting what they communicate with me as I get it. I'll do it in real time. If I have to put something up on the whiteboard, I will. So just stay tuned. We're pretty much there. I mean, the good news is they don't think we're crazy. That's the good news. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing.
Yep. Well, thank you very much out there, Ted Fogg over there, our producer. Much love to him. He makes all this fancy stuff happen. He's very talented in what he does over there. And this is what makes us such a great group of people here. Is each one of us has their own set of skill sets, and we work together really, really well over here. So we're miss John Gentry tonight. I'm sure he's busy doing something, or he'd have been here. With that, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. And I seen you pop in there, Glenita, Gary, Darren, Scott. Thanks for calling in tonight. And we will see you all Monday.
Veronica,
Joe.
and have a good night.